Background check complete. David was asking in a low voice. Everything Mrs. Walker requested, Sophia replied quietly. Foster care records, school transcripts from Pinewood, even the police report from the incident with her teacher. Eva froze, her blood turning to ice. They were talking about her. They knew about Pinewood, about Mr. Bennett. But how? She'd been so careful, had changed her last name, and had told no one the full truth. And Tom Miller? David asked. How much does he know? Unclear, Sophia replied. But Mrs. Walker thinks. They rounded the corner then, cutting off the rest of the conversation. Eva pressed herself against the wall, heart pounding, mind racing with implications. Walker Industries had investigated her thoroughly enough to uncover her real identity and past. Why? What possible interest could someone like Margaret Walker have in a nobody from Pinewood? And somehow Tom was involved. Tom, who had been kind and supportive, who had warned her about Mrs. Walker. Was his friendship genuine, or was he part of whatever game was being played? Eva completed her delivery with mechanical movements, her thoughts in turmoil. By the time she returned to the reception desk, she had composed herself outwardly while inwardly calculating her options. She could confront Tom, demand to know what he knew about her. She could quit the job, disappear into the vastness of the city before the Walker Innovation Summit. She could even return to Lisa, confess everything, and ask for help starting over somewhere new. But a lifetime of caution had taught Eva the value of information. Before making any move, she needed to understand what was happening and why. To be continued. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment and share with friends and loved ones. When Tom stopped by her desk later with her usual coffee, she accepted it with a smile that revealed nothing of her inner turmoil. Looking forward to the summit? He asked casually. Very much, Eva replied, watching his face carefully. It feels like it could be the beginning of something important. Tom's expression flickered with something, concern, guilt, before settling back into its usual friendly openness. Just remember, Eva, not everything is what it seems in this city. I'm learning that, she said quietly. Trust me, I'm learning that very quickly. The morning of the Walker Innovation Summit arrived with unexpected news. Eva woke to an email from Sophia informing her that she had been reassigned from general event staff to Mrs. Walker's personal assistant team for the evening. This is a significant promotion, Sophia wrote. You'll be working directly with Mrs. Walker, accompanying her throughout the event and assisting with her meetings with key investors and partners. Please arrive 3 hours early for additional briefing. Eva stared at her phone screen, conflicting emotions warring within her. Professional excitement at this opportunity battled with growing suspicion about Mrs. Walker's unusual interest in her. The overheard conversation between David and Sophia had left her deeply unsettled, but she decided to proceed cautiously, gathering information before making any decisions. At the shelter, Jasmine whistled when Eva told her about the change in assignment. Personal assistant team? That's huge, Jasmine said as she helped Eva prepare. Margaret Walker only surrounds herself with people she's grooming for bigger things. Or people she wants to keep a close eye on, Eva murmured, thinking of David Chen's penetrating gaze. The Grand Meridian Hotel was among the city's most exclusive venues, its ballroom transformed into a futuristic showcase of Walker Industries' latest innovations. Eva arrived in her new uniform, a tailored charcoal suit with subtle Walker Industries insignia, and was immediately whisked into a briefing room where Sophia waited with 3 other assistants. Eva! Perfect timing, Sophia said. Let me introduce the team. This is Marcus, Alicia, and Jean. Everyone, Eva Winters, our newest addition. The others nodded politely, though Eva detected a slight wariness in their expressions. They were clearly wondering how a receptionist had landed such a coveted position. Tonight is more than a technology showcase, Sophia continued, distributing tablets with detailed schedules. It's a strategic networking event where Mrs. Walker will be meeting with potential investors and partners for several new ventures. Your job is to ensure these meetings proceed perfectly. The briefing continued with protocol instructions, meeting schedules, and background information on key attendees. Eva absorbed it all with the quick intelligence that had always been her greatest asset. As the ballroom began filling with guests, Eva was stationed near the main entrance alongside Sophia, greeting high-profile attendees and directing them to their designated areas. The opulence of the event was unlike anything she'd ever experienced. Champagne flowed freely, gourmet hors d'oeuvres circulated on silver trays, and cutting-edge technology demonstrations drew fascinated crowds throughout the space. "Mrs. Walker has arrived," Sophia murmured into her earpiece, and Eva looked up to see Margaret Walker making a characteristically dramatic entrance, flanked by executives and, Eva noted with surprise, David Chun, who scanned the room with professional vigilance while maintaining a pleasant smile. "Time to join her team," Sophia directed, and Eva followed her through the crowd toward Mrs. Walker. "Ah, Sophia! Excellent," Mrs. Walker said as they approached. "And Eva, looking very professional. You'll be with me for the Nakamura meeting at 8 and the Venture Capital Roundtable at 9. "Yes, Mrs. Walker," Eva replied, falling easily into the assistant role despite her inner reservations. The evening progressed with mechanical precision, Eva shadowing Mrs. Walker through a series of strategic conversations with technology leaders and investors. She took notes, fetched specific attendees when needed, and managed schedule adjustments with a competence that earned approving glances from both Sophia and Mrs. Walker. During a brief lull between meetings, David Chun appeared at Eva's elbow, offering a glass of sparkling water. "Impressive work tonight," he said smoothly. "Mrs. Walker rarely brings newcomers into her inner circle so quickly. You must have made quite an impression." Eva accepted the water with a carefully neutral smile. "I'm just doing my job." "Are you?" David's dark eyes studied her with unsettling intensity. "Tell me, Eva, what do you think of all this?" He gestured toward the glittering crowd, the technology displays, the wealth and power concentrated in the ballroom. "It's certainly different from Westfield's reception desk," Eva replied cautiously. David chuckled. "And worlds away from Pinewood Village, I imagine." Eva's breath caught, but she maintained her composure. This was deliberate. He was letting her know that he knew, watching for her reaction. "Most places would be," she said evenly, meeting his gaze without flinching. Something like admiration flickered in David's eyes. "Mrs. Walker was right about you. Resilient. Adaptable." He leaned slightly closer. "But are you ambitious enough for what she has in mind?" Before Eva could respond, Mrs. Walker beckoned from across the room, and Eva excused herself, mind racing with implications. Whatever game was being played, the pieces were moving faster now. As she rejoined Mrs. Walker for the Venture Capital Roundtable, Eva was startled to see a familiar face among the security personnel stationed discreetly around the perimeter of the meeting room. Tom. He wore the hotel's security uniform rather than his usual Westfield attire, but it was unmistakably him. Their eyes met briefly across the room, and the complex emotion in his gaze, concern, warning, guilt, sent a chill down Eva's spine. "Eva," Mrs. Walker said sharply, reclaiming her attention. "Please distribute these briefing materials to our guests." Eva's world shifted dramatically that night at the Walker Innovation Summit when Tom pulled her into a quiet service corridor during a brief break in Mrs. Walker's meetings. "I need to tell you the truth," he said urgently. "All of it. Tonight." Before she could respond, they were interrupted by Sophia calling for Eva to return to Mrs. Walker's side. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of professional duties and mounting questions. After the summit concluded, Eva found Tom waiting outside, his expression resolute. "Come with me," he said. "There's someone you need to meet." Tom drove them to an elegant brownstone in the city's historic district. When the door opened, Eva froze in shock. "Mr. Bennett." Her former teacher stood in the doorway, older but unmistakable. "Hello, Eva. It's been a long time." Inside, seated in a comfortable living room, Eva finally learned the truth. "I never faced charges," Mr. Bennett explained. Another student came forward with evidence that Rachel had fabricated the allegations under pressure from her mother. "By then, you disappeared. I searched for you for months," he continued. "When I couldn't find you, I reached out to an old college friend, Margaret Walker." Eva's eyes widened. "Mrs. Walker knew about me? All along." "Margaret and I grew up together in a town much like Pinewood," Mr. Bennett said. "She understood immediately what you'd faced and offered resources to find you." Tom leaned forward. "That's where I come in. I work for Walker Security, specializing in locating displaced young people. I was assigned to find you 6 months ago." You've been tracking me since I arrived in the city? Eva asked, stunned by the revelation. Not exactly, Tom replied. We lost your trail until you registered at the Women's Resource Center. Lisa is part of Mrs. Walker's network of contacts who look out for promising young people who've fallen through society's cracks. The job at Westfield? Eva asked, pieces falling into place. Arranged, Tom admitted. But everything that happened between us, our friendship, our conversations, that was real, Eva. I was supposed to just observe, report back. I wasn't supposed to care. But you did, Eva said softly. I did, Tom confirmed. Which is why I'm breaking protocol now. David Shun wants to recruit you into Walker Industries' Corporate Intelligence Division. They specialize in identifying vulnerabilities in competing companies. He thinks your background makes you perfect for undercover work. And Mrs. Walker approved this? Eva asked. Margaret Walker never does anything with a single purpose, Mr. Bennett interjected. She wants to help you, yes. But she also sees your potential usefulness. Eva sat back, processing everything. So every opportunity, every coincidence since I arrived in Capital City was orchestrated, Tom finished. But that doesn't mean the choice isn't real now. Mrs. Walker is offering you a legitimate path into her organization. David has his agenda, but you don't have to follow it. What about you? Eva asked Tom directly. Where do you stand in all this? I resigned from Walker Security this morning, Tom said quietly. I can't be part of manipulating your life anymore, even with good intentions. 3 days later, Eva stood in Margaret Walker's office, facing the powerful woman who had been pulling strings behind the scenes. You've spoken with Thomas and James Bennett, Mrs. Walker said, not bothering with pretense. So you understand the situation. I understand that you've been orchestrating my life without my knowledge or consent, Eva replied evenly. Mrs. Walker raised an eyebrow. I provided opportunities. You proved your worth through your own merits. Why the elaborate scheme? Why not simply approach me directly? I needed to see who you truly are when no one is watching, Mrs. Walker replied. Character reveals itself in the dark, not under spotlights. Eva considered this. And what did you learn about my character? That you are exactly what James Bennett believed, extraordinarily resilient, intelligent, and principled. Mrs. Walker leaned forward. Which is why I'm offering you a choice now, with full transparency. She laid out 3 options: a position in Walker Industries' corporate division with full educational benefits, seed funding to start Eva's own business venture, or admission to the university of her choice with all expenses covered. No intelligence work. No corporate espionage. Eva asked skeptically. Unless that's your preference, Mrs. Walker replied with a slight smile. David Shin sees your potential differently than I do. Eva studied the woman who had orchestrated this elaborate intervention in her life. Why do this for me? The truth. Mrs. Walker's composed facade softened slightly. Because 40 years ago, I was you. Different villages, different abusers, but the same desperate need to escape, to become something more than what my circumstances dictated. Someone gave me a chance. I'm paying it forward. 1 week later, Eva sat in Tom's modest apartment, having made her decision. I'm not taking any of Mrs. Walker's offers, she told him. At least, not as presented. Tom looked surprised. You're turning down a full scholarship, the chance to start fresh. I'm negotiating my own terms, Eva clarified. Mrs. Walker respects strength. I've proposed establishing a foundation specifically for young people escaping situations like mine, with me directing it once I complete my education. And she agreed. With conditions, Eva smiled. I'll work part-time at Walker Industries while attending university. I'll learn the business from the inside. And I'll have autonomy in developing outreach programs for at-risk youth. Tom's expression filled with admiration. You're remarkable, you know that. I'm a survivor, Eva corrected him. But I'd like to be more than that now. She took his hand. Which brings me to my other decision. The warmth in Tom's eyes as he squeezed her hand told her everything she needed to know about their future together. 6 years later, Eva stood at a podium in Pinewood Village's renovated community center, addressing a room full of students and parents. The Pinewood Scholars Program is now accepting applications, she announced. Full scholarships for 10 students each year, with guaranteed internships at partner companies. In the back of the room, Tom watched proudly, their 2-year-old daughter asleep against his shoulder. Beside him sat Margaret Walker, now semi-retired but still a formidable presence. "You've created something remarkable here," Mrs. Walker commented. "Far more than I envisioned when we found you." "That's the thing about controlling other people's destinies," Eva had once told her. "Sometimes they have better ideas about the path they should take." As the event concluded, Eva joined her family, taking her sleeping daughter into her arms. "Ready to go home?" Tom asked, slipping an arm around her waist. Eva looked around at the village that had once been her prison, now transformed by her return as a beacon of possibility for other young people trapped in circumstances beyond their control. "Yes," she said, smiling up at the Mun who had gone from observer to partner, from being a strategic plan to her greatest supporter. "I think our work here is just beginning." In the warm golden light of afternoon, Eva walked out of Pinewood Village not as an escaping victim but as a returning champion, her small family beside her, her hard-won wisdom lighting the way forward for others who would follow in her footsteps. She had found more than escape. She had found purpose. She had found love. And most importantly, she had found herself. The end. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment and share with your loved ones. See you in the next video.